Hey guys, I'm Mike Trump, Director of Maintenance with Turbo Terminal Tractors. If you're watching this, thank you for trusting Turbo with all your terminal tractor needs. Today we're going to be doing a brief driver orientation and overview of this capacity spotter so we can show you guys how to safely operate this unit. Okay guys, the first thing we're going to do in our walk around to ensure safe operation is do a brief visual inspection. First thing I'm going to do is start at the top of the truck and work my way down, making sure I don't have any obstructions of the windshield and make sure it's not cracked or broken in any way. Then I'm going to look at the truck to make sure it's not leaning one side or the other. That could indicate a suspension problem. And then I'm going to go underneath the truck and make sure that we don't have any visible leaks, drips or drops of anything. That could be fuel or coolant or oil. While I'm here, it's a great time to go ahead and pull this air tank drain and make sure we don't have any other condensation built up in our air tanks. We'll continue to walk around the driver's side of the truck, checking for any other physical damage and making sure everything is secured. We'll check our tires at this time for proper inflation and even wear patterns. Moving on, we have our battery box cover, which is also our steps. We want to make sure those are securely attached. And we have our fuel filter right here. We want to make sure it's not leaking or damaged. Your fuel tank is right here. You want to make sure it's securely attached and that it's not leaking in any way. Also make sure your cap is tight. From there you have another air tank drain that you can pull at this time, and then we'll come around the truck checking our mud flaps all the way over, front and rear, and we'll check our tires for proper inflation and wear at this time. Come around the rear of the vehicle and make sure we don't see any leaks from underneath, indicating that we have a differential leak. We'll make sure these mud flaps are securely attached and in place, and we'll also check these tires on this side for proper inflation and wear patterns. You have another air tank drain under here. It's also a good idea to pull at this time. This blue cap is your DEF fluid for your diesel exhaust fluid. Next to that, we have your hydraulic fluid. You want to make sure it's at the proper level at this time. Then we have our exhaust. You want to make sure that your heat shield is not damaged in any way that could cause an issue. And then come straight around to your tire to make sure you have proper inflation and even wear. Okay guys, before we enter the cab, the first thing I want to show you is how to check your fluid for proper level. Your transmission dipstick is right here and your oil dipstick is on the other side. In order to properly check that, you must gain access to it by raising the cab. So at this time, I'll show you how to do so. We want to make sure there's no obstructions in front of the cab and nobody's around. We'll yell clear and we'll depress our up button. Until our cab lock is fully engaged, and then we'll let it down on it. Now we can access our oil dipstick. Once we check that and verify it's at the proper level, we'll return the cab back to height. We'll do that by reversing the procedure by pressing up, and then we'll pull our cab lock on the way down. Okay guys, now we're going to enter the vehicle, making sure we have 3 points of contact on the way up. Okay, now that we've entered the vehicle, first thing we'll do for safe operation is put our seatbelt on. On the way over, we want to check it for frays or damage and make sure that it securely fastens. Now we're going to turn our key into the on position and look for the check engine light, stop engine light, and our wait to start lamp. Once our wait to start lamp goes out, we will hold the ignition key in the start position for 3 seconds before it will crank. Ignition on, wait to start lamp is here. Once it goes out, we will hold that in the start position for 3 seconds before it cranks. As it cranks, we'll watch our gauges sweep, and the first thing we want to do is check for proper oil pressure. Once we verify we have proper oil pressure, we'll then allow the brake pressure to build up. While the brake pressure is building up, we'll cover everything from the left to the right of the dash. Starting from the left, we have our washer switch and our wiper switch. You activate those by turning it, and activate the washers by pressing and long holding the switch. Then you have your panel brightness and your depth gauge. This is for your diesel exhaust fluid. Then your speedometer, and then the next gauges you have are your oil pressure, coolant temperature, and your primary and secondary air gauges. Then your battery voltage and your AC controls. You want to make sure your AC is in the on position for air condition and off for the heat. Your blower motor speed is here. This position is off, that is low, and that is high. Moving to the right-hand side of the dash. On this side of the dash, we have our headlight switch. If we turn it down, that is for park lamp illumination, and up is for our headlights. You can activate bright and dim on the left-hand side of the turn signal. This is your interior lamps, and this will be your fifth wheel work lamps. This is your interior fan control, and this one is for your heated mirrors for cold weather applications. This is your mirror adjustment, so you want to make sure your mirrors are properly adjusted before taking off. Your shift selector is right here on a touchpad. Notice you have reverse, neutral, and drive, and then we have our hoist control lever. Pull it down to bring the fifth wheel up, and push it up to bring the fifth wheel down. When we're ready to disconnect from a trailer, we have our fifth wheel air cylinder lock. When we're ready to disengage, we'll push and hold that lock, and that will release the lock from the trailer, and we can safely pull away. This is our power divider lock. In the event of a wheel spin, we'll press and hold this lock, and it will activate both sets of wheels for extra traction. We have our trailer air supply and our park and brake air supply right here. You also want to make sure you check your horn, and now you're ready to go spot a trailer. Okay, now that we have performed our tug test and made sure that our trailer is securely attached, it's time to connect it. So we'll come out here and we'll take our glad hands, our red emergency glad hand, our blue service glad hand, and our green electrical pigtail, and we'll connect those to the trailer. Once everything is secured, we'll safely pull this trailer away. Okay guys, that concludes our driver orientation and walk around today of our capacity spotter. Thank you very much for choosing and trusting Turbo Terminal Tractors with all of your lease, sales, and service needs. If you need any further assistance, please reach out to our Turbo Service Solutions team.